So what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Just firstly, before we get into things, I just want to thank you for the support that I received in my first video. It definitely did a lot better than I expected, so yeah, I do really appreciate the support so far. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different style of video. There's going to be less kind of talking to the camera, more focus on the food and everything that goes into it. So yeah, without further ado, I really appreciate being here, and let's get into Meal Perfect Me episode 2. So the recipe I'm going to do today is just a quick one. Maybe it'll take you 1 to 2 hours max to do it, probably even less. It's quick, fast, easy, so yeah, let's get into it. So firstly, we're going to get started with our rice. Into our rice cooker, we're going to go in with 400 grams of rice, and that comes to 80 grams per portion, and then get in there with a little bit of salt too. One of my favorite ingredients to add to rice is these cardamom pods. They make it fragrant, fluffy, and it really is delicious. And yeah, from there, I just go pretty standard, double the amount of water to the amount of rice that we have in the rice cooker. Pop it on to cook and let it do its thing for about 15 to 20 minutes or so. While the rice is doing its thing, we're going to grab and prepare our chicken. So in here I have 700 grams of chicken breasts. So we're pretty much just going to grab them out of the packet and then begin slicing them up and preparing them for our breadcrumb mixture. And it really doesn't have to be too particular which way you cut them. I just kind of like to do them in strips, but you can do them in nuggets or however way you like. The most important thing really is just to make sure they're all in and around the same size so they cook completely evenly. So my go-to coating for chicken these days is cornflakes. It just gets so crispy and it really does work perfectly. 150 grams will do the trick for this recipe. So once we get our cornflakes into a bowl, we are then going to grab our little food processor. And trust me, getting these cornflakes in was a task in itself. And after many a headache and constant cleaning up, trust me, we did eventually manage to get all the cornflakes into the food processor. We're going to pop on the lid and then we're going to get blending the cornflakes, as I said, until we get to some breadcrumb type of mixture. And why I like using cornflakes for the batter, it just gets really, really crispy. And it kind of is perfect if you're doing, say, chicken fillet burgers or anything that involves kind of any sort of crispy batter. So once we're looking like that, we're good to go. Just pop it into a bowl and yeah, we can set it aside for the time being while we get everything else prepared and good to go. So next up on the list is to prepare our flour. Into a bowl, we're going to go in with 100 grams of just plain white flour. To the flour, we're going to add salt. And then from there, for a little bit of extra flavor, I like to go in with a teaspoon of this all-purpose seasoning. And then just give it a mix throughout the flour. And then the final step in our little batter station will be to crack our eggs into a bowl. I'm using 3 in total. It kind of is the perfect amount to coat the amount of chicken that we need. Just give it a quick whisk in the bowl, you know how it is, and just combine it all together. This is how we are looking. We have flour, egg, and then our cornflake. We're then going to grab ourselves some grease-proof paper, and then we're just going to simply line our dish. It's going to stop our chicken from sticking and yeah, pretty much help with the cleaning up process too. Give it a couple of sprays of fry light oil. The steps from there are then very simple. We're going to get our chicken into our flour and get it nice and coated. Then from the flour, we're going to go into the egg. Then from the egg, we're going to get it into the flour. And then by this stage, I mean get it nice and coated because you want that chicken to be fully coated in the cornflake mixture. So I'm not going to show you me doing it all, but it can be a very tedious little procedure. But if you stick with it, takes a little patience, you'll get there in the end. And once we're all done and we're looking like this, we're pretty much destined for the oven. We just need now a couple of sprays of fry light oil just to add that extra layer of crispiness. I'm going to go into the oven at 180 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. So while our chicken is cooking away and doing its thing, I'm going to prepare my veg. I like to go in with these baby stem broccoli. You get a lot of volume of food for very low calories. And I always steam my veg just to preserve as much vitamins and minerals as I can. So yeah, pop the lid on and then let it just do its thing. So while all that's doing its thing, we're going to get started with our sauce. So into a bowl, we're going to go in with 75 ml of this sriracha. It's going to add a little bit of heat and a little bit of kick to our sauce, which we really want in this dish. And then to add in a little bit more sweetness to the dish, we're going to go in with 50 grams of honey. Follow that up with 70 grams of soy sauce. After the soy sauce, we're going to go in with a teaspoon of this pre-sliced garlic. Then after the pre-sliced garlic, we're going to go in with 50 ml of water. After about 15 minutes, make sure to check your chicken. You want to make sure that it cooks evenly and is crispy on both sides. So make sure you give it a little flip over, and then we're going to get it back into the oven for another 10 minutes or so. So after we check the chicken, we're going to go back to our sauce and we're going to slice and dice up some ginger. And we're going to make sure to add it in there too. Ginger again is really fragrant and I do really enjoy it in these type of dishes. We're then going to slice up some of this radish just for the garnish. And the same with these green onions. Make sure you slice them nice and thinly. And we're going to add it to the top of the chicken. Once the chicken is done, it's time to then introduce it to the sauce and get it all working on the same wavelength. So we're gonna get our pan nice and hot and then go in with our sauce. So yeah, just a quick chicken check. As you can see, it's looking beautifully and crispy, and as I was mentioned previously in the video, it is so diverse and we can use it in lots of dishes. So we're gonna get it straight into our sauce and just make sure the whole chicken is just coated completely in it. Looking back on it, we probably could have made a bit more sauce, but so be it. Hindsight is a great thing. Once that's all done, that's us pretty much good to go. We can then just grab our meal prep containers, lay them all out like so, and get ready to plate up our dishes. Fairly standard to dish out. Now I just kind of go by eye and just divide each part of my dish into 5, just to account for the 5 different days of the week. If you're really into your macros and want things to be bang on, of course you can measure things out. So I've got the rice equally spread between each bowl, and I'm just going to do the exact same with our baby stem broccoli. Once the broccoli is done, next up is our beautiful and delicious chicken. I must have to look into investing in bigger meal prep containers because these ones barely fit everything in. I kind of had to get my hands involved towards the end and spread them out equally between each one. But we got there. We definitely got there in the end. But then afterwards, we're just going to garnish it off with our radish and our green onion. But overall, my thoughts on this dish, it's probably one of my favorite to meal prep. Just with the garlic, the ginger, the crispiness of the chicken, although it does kind of wilt out towards the end on maybe your third or fourth day, it just really is perfect and kind of a really nice dish to look forward to, whether you have it during your lunch period at work or after work, kind of when you go home. They're good in the fridge for about 4 to 5 days, in the freezer up to a couple of months. The macros are quite decent. It'll set you back about 750 calories, but it'll get you 50 grams of protein in return. So definitely do give it a try out and let me know what your thoughts of the whole recipe down below. So yeah, honey chicken, absolutely delicious. It's perfect to meal prep. Fast, quick, cheap, the whole lot. Thank you so much again for tuning into my video. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that type of stuff down below. Have an absolutely fantastic week, and I will be sure to see you next week for another meal prep video.